Clash Artifacts of Chaos is a bizarre game. I honestly don't know how else to say it. This is a title unlike anything we've had on the channel before. It is a single-player action-adventure game that in some ways calls back to games from the late 90s, early 2000s. This is your Shadow Man, or The Suffering, or one of those third-person action games that have more or less become relics of the past. But also, Clash Artifacts of Chaos is unique in its own ways, for better or worse. Quick history lesson here, this game is set in the Zeno Clash universe, which was a first-person fighter meets shooter? That game was released back in 2009. It has its fans, though shame on me, I never played it myself. The game was even successful enough to spawn a sequel, Zeno Clash 2, which unfortunately was not as well received. Now then, according to the developers, you don't need to have played either of those games to enjoy this experience, but I sure as hell couldn't tell you what was going on half the time. Here's what I can tell you. You'll play as Pseudo, whose head kinda looks like a ding-dong, but that's besides the point. Pseudo is a martial artist who resides in 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐿, a world full of bizarre creatures, and the evil Gemini, our big baddie of the game. Pseudo meets a little bird creature who he swears to protect, and off they go on a grand adventure where, well, I don't know, things just get weirder. I won't lie to you, there is something intriguing about this world, and really the entire game, but that said, the gameplay just isn't interesting enough for me to want to stick around and find out. I suspect that will be the same for many of you. What is the gameplay? It's strange, like everything else. At its core, you could best describe Clash Artifacts of Chaos as an action beat-em-up. You begin by selecting a combat stance, either slash, boxing, or spear, but there are more you will learn along the way, and you can even swap between them, which is a nice touch. You have a simple combo system using one button, and can mix in a special attack as well. You can also hit certain directions for unique strikes. Simple enough, right? Pseudo can also dodge out of the way of attacks, and has a parry, which will even allow for counterattacks. Things take a turn for the weird when you fill up your power gauge and unleash your ultimate ability, which throws you into a first-person perspective and allows you to pound the hell out of your foes. Cool little touch, interesting idea, but overall the combat ends up a bit dull. Enemies feel like lifeless punching bags, and while you do grab some weapons which change things up, I ultimately got bored with it all rather quickly. The game attempts to mix things up with ritual encounters as well. I told you this game was strange. These encounters have you and your opponent setting down artifacts and playing a dice game, which I didn't find particularly enthralling. Win the dice game and your opponent will be punished depending on the effect your artifact has. That's right, after the game you throw down fists against your opponent, with the loser of the dice game facing a handicap from the artifact. What did I tell you about this game? Outside of your basic combat, there are campsites where you can rest and craft potions using items you collect along the way, and you can also sleep to bring on the night. At night, your soul seems to leave your body and you're able to access areas that you won't be able to during the day. Again, a cool idea, and this game is full of those, but the downfall for me was how much of a hassle navigating the world was. What a pain in the ass. I couldn't get anywhere without bumbling around for a good 30 to 40 minutes and hoping that I would stumble across the right path. And that's pretty much how this game plays out. You wander, you bumble about, you fight an enemy here or there, you get to a campsite, and you try to get back on the path. Should you be defeated in combat during the day, the soulless Pseudo will wake up and can retrieve the body. It's just a clusterfuck of ideas from other games and some cool unique ones that aren't executed well. I probably would have wanted to explore more of this game if the navigation system was halfway decent, but boy, it just makes this game get frustrating in a hurry. There is a map in your menu, but it really doesn't help at all. Areas can begin looking all too familiar, and it leads to a great deal of time wasted for absolutely no good reason. Get ready to follow someone's video on YouTube if you're gonna play this thing, because there's really no other way to get through it unless you are really persistent. So the combat is stale, the rituals are weird, and navigating this world gives me a headache, but I must say, it is a beautiful world to get lost in. The game looks gorgeous with an animated artistic direction that feels like it jumped off the pages of a comic book and came to life. Lush colors, interesting looking characters, and a great performance on the right PC make Clash a visual treat. Much love and care went into crafting an impressive world. It's a shame that the gameplay doesn't quite match up to it. The soundtrack is also lovely, reminiscent of something you would perhaps hear in the Nier series. Beautiful choir vocals and emotional stirring strings almost feel out of place at times, but as standalone compositions, they are wondrous. Unfortunately, the voice acting is pretty shoddy here, as even the actors don't seem to have any idea what the hell's going on. Clash Artifacts of Chaos was one of the more interesting games I've had to review for this channel. As a video game, it isn't very fun at all, to be honest, and yet its art is lovely, it sounds fantastic, and I feel like it's destined to resonate with the right person. Heck, I won't judge, I love weird games too. Killer 7's one of my favorites, but unfortunately for me, the gameplay needs to at least be tolerable in order to enjoy the finer aspects of a game like this, and sadly, it just wasn't there.
way.
I'll take the child to Gemini, sir.
Give back the boy and I won't break your face.